Please, let's take our seats. Welcome to this evening's meeting. We're going to have our invocation by Pastor Christopher Mitchell, Sr. of Damascus Church International in Lake City. It will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance this afternoon by our Veteran of the Month, who is Mr. Arthur Hughes. If you would, what happened? If you would, stand with me, please. Huh?
Will we bow our heads as we pray? Dear wise and loving Father, first let me say thank you on behalf of all who have gathered here today. Thank you for your many blessings. Thank you for life and strength. Thank you for the life and strength you have given us, God, to fulfill our calling and our purpose. We thank you, God, for our daily bread. We thank you for the ability, God, to be involved in useful work and the honor of bearing our appropriate responsibilities. Thank you as well for the freedom to embrace you. Thank you for loving us from your boundless and gracious nature. I pray for our chairman, our commissioners, our chief of police, our sheriff, and those you have placed in position to promote peace, order, and justice. I am asking of you graciously to grant wisdom to govern amid conflicting interests and issues of our time, a sense of welfare and true needs of our people. Father, we pray tonight, God, for a keen thirst for justice and rightness. We pray, God, for the ability to embrace and have the confidence and to do what's good and fitting for the people of this county. Father, we pray, God, that you'll continue to cover this county. Continue, Lord God, to use those you have placed in leadership, God, to make a difference. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Mr. Hughes, please.
For God and country, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Good evening. Welcome to the April 2nd Board of Commissioners regular business meeting. The first order of business is the adoption of the agenda. Does any member of the board want to offer any amendments?
Yes. I would like to take number 17 separately and to take off 7C, the appointment to the Development Authority Board in light of what's going on.
Here.
I want to take that off.
So we'll take them separately. First motion is to, you want to take the item 17, NVS building.
Right. Take
You
it
want to
separately.
take it separately?
Yes.
Okay, is there a motion to take it off consent and put it on the regular agenda? Item 17.
Was that the motion? You mean a second?
A second.
Second, please.
Those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, it's unanimous. Second item is to remove, where are we at?
7C.
7C,
Right.
appointment to the Development Authority Board. Is there a motion? That's a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Three, huh?
What was the motion? Can you repeat the motion for us, please? Was it to
Okay,
take
the
it
motion,
separate? Take it
no,
separate.
it's to take it off
This
altogether.
motion said to take it off.
I said to take it off. Is
Right,
that what
to
your
take
motion
it off,
is?
right, in light of the lawsuit and all, instead of going through that.
That has nothing to do with this lawsuit.
Are
Okay.
you removing it from the agenda?
Hold on, I think there has been some miscommunication. Your motion, correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner Hambrick, is to remove it altogether.
Correct.
Commissioner Gregory,
And I
second the motion.
Yes, I did.
All right, so I'm gonna call again. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
Nay.
So it's 3-2, it fails. Any others? All right, hearing none, those in favor of adopting the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Approved.
Can I have a motion, please?
To approve the agenda.
Can I have a motion first?
Yeah.
So moved.
Well, I'm just all lost today.
Well,
All
the
right,
first
so
was
there's a
yea
motion
and nay,
by
so-
Commissioner Warner. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
Thank you. The next item of business are presentations, and we will start with the Veteran of the Month.
All right, our Veteran of the Month this month is Mr. Arthur Hughes. He served in Desert Storm and Operation Desert Shield in the Georgia Army National Guard. Mr. Hughes is a servant in the truest form and is a behind-the-scenes catalyst for many veteran initiatives and programs here in the county. He had a dream to have Gold Star Fathers Day recognized in the state of Georgia and presented the idea to State Representative Rhonda Burno. And just to note, on November 9th of 2017, the first ceremony was held at the Georgia State Capitol, so we appreciate your efforts in following through with that, Mr. Hughes. He also took the initiative to meet with local private businesses and companies to have tattered American flags removed and replaced. He also volunteered to remove refuge from a cemetery located in the city of Atlanta, which was poorly kept. He volunteers to donate, distribute, and pick up toys for tots and feed the hungry. Places flags on the graves of veterans during Flag Day, Memorial Day, and Veterans Day. He canceled his medical appointment to take a Vietnam veteran whom he had never met to his mother's funeral. And Mr. Arthur Hughes continues to serve this community as a member of the following veteran organizations: Tuskegee Airmen Atlanta Chapter, Veterans Helping Veterans, and Armed Forces Senior Veterans. You can learn more about Arthur Hughes' background on the Clayton County website under the Veteran of the Month program. Please help me welcome Mr. Arthur Hughes.
Mr. Chairman. Hold on. Mr. Chairman. Okay. Mr. Chairman, before we do that, when we approved the consent agenda, we didn't ask for questions, because I do have a question.
Okay.
Under the consent agenda. Number 18, and it may be a typo or whatever, but it has the dates, the period of time for the dates under the, what's that, the criminal justice, whatever. We have July, effective July 19, 2019 through June 2019. I think it should have been through June 2020.
Okay.
I just want to make that correction before we go any further.
Thank you.
Sorry about that, you all.
Thank you. Give me a second. 1 second.
Second.
No, I didn't ask for a second. What is it?
We voted on the.
Is that on a regular agenda or consent agenda? Yeah, that was the board, the minutes. Okay. So you make sure you bring that up. All right, now we're ready.
I knew this was happening, or I would have dressed up. Hell, you look dressed up to me already. Thank you for those kind words.
Next would be the MULTIPURPOSE quarterly briefing.
And I don't see Mr. Griffin come up.
So we can go to public comment.
No, we try. Let's go to public comment.
The board will now entertain public comments. Citizens will be given 3 minutes maximum time limit to speak before the Board of Commissioners. Please state your name and county of residency for the record. Speak clearly into the microphone, and speakers should be courteous, respectful, and not make any disparagatory remarks or use abusive language when addressing the board.
Dr. Henry Anderson.
Henry Anderson, unincorporated, Clayton County, Hampton, Georgia. My next series of public commenting will be discussing law and order, my annual giving of the crime statistics in Clayton County, unincorporated, and other cities within this county. Before I start, which will start in May, there's a very serious situation. Only I see it as this. It is an extreme emergency. The situation is critical. We had a red alert, and it demands your immediate time, attention, efforts, work, and energies. I gave you copies for the first time of the crime statistics I get from the state, because as you know, if any citizen goes online, they will know for all of Clayton County, but not individual. And it tells you how many sworn law enforcement officers there are. And I'm going to start from 2015, and this is from the Clayton County Police Department, so these are accurate statistics. In 2015, toward the end, there were 364 sworn law enforcement officers, 307 males, 57 females. It dropped by 19 in 2016 to 345. It dropped again in 2017 by 1 to 344. And there was a big drop from 344 to 321, and you have these statistics, and I don't know what it is. I don't have, what it is in 2019, but I will get those statistics next year. We're at a critical moment because we've lost 43 officers, and it's not because of poor morale. It's because of, in my estimation, a compensation package that need to be more competitive. At Sector 3, when they had their police meeting with the constituents in Commissioner Warner's district, Chief Roberts told us that he has submitted a compensation package that I hope you will approve, but it is more than that. And I'm going to be the only citizen that's talking, because only I work hard to get these statistics. And a lot of these are good citizens, but they don't even know, and they probably don't want to know, because you have to work hard. They can't just believe what you tell them, that all is well, everything is fine, and that you're on the case. I'm going to say, and this is to all 5 of you, you need to do a one-time $1,500 bonus to not only the Clayton County Police Department, but our other agencies, Fire, 911, and the Sheriff's Department, to bring them up, to show them that you really care. We know you care, but you really care. We're at crisis because we lost all these officers. Now, I'm going to continue this, and I'm going to be the only citizens that's going to be on this, as you know, months and months. So I'm not going to let this issue die. So we will continue the next Clayton County Board of Commissioners meeting, a one-time $1,500 bonus to our law enforcement personnel for starters, as well as approving whatever compensation package Chief Roberts has brought before you.
Let me say this, Dr. Anderson. We do value our public safety people as well as the rest of our employees. Being able to hire and retain public safety officials, especially police officers, is hard not only in Clayton County but around the state and nation. Not as many people want to step up and be law enforcement officers anymore for whatever reason. But we do take your word seriously, and we are looking at ways in which we can compensate our public safety as well as the rest of our employees. So thank you. Gail Bedingfield.
Good evening. My name is Gail Bedingfield, and I'm from the historic Rex Village area. I just passed y'all one of our flyers. This Saturday, the 6th, we're going to be having our 10th annual spring fling. And we'll also have an Easter egg hunt for the children at 1 o'clock, so children 2 through 12 are welcome to come hunt Easter eggs with us. All the information is on here, or you can go to our Rex Mill Facebook page, and it'll have the information as well. We'll have vendors from Avon and Tupperware and paparazzi jewelry, a lot of things for the ladies, but there's also some sporting good things there for the guys. So we hope you'll turn out. These are all local Clayton County entrepreneurs. They're small business owners, and we're really trying to promote our area in there. Also, we work with our church, Community Bible Church, and the Homeless Outreach, and if anyone would like to donate any non-perishable goods for the homeless ministry, we'll be happy to get those to our church as well. Would be remiss if I didn't thank the chairman. He's always supported us with candy for the kids, so I sit and stuff the Easter eggs, and the chairman gives us the candy to put in them. So I appreciate you and Darlene helping us with that. And I would be remiss if I did not say something nice about some of the other people that help us here in the county. So I would like to thank Warden Nelson. He had the crew down the other day and in the Rex Village and really did a great job down there on some cleanup work around our village area. Also, our Clayton County Police Department. We are blessed with the best. And two people I work real close with is Officer India Smith and Officer David Portis. They are always a joy to work with and to help our community out in the Rex Village. Our Precinct 1 captain is Captain Christopher Winley. He's doing a great job over there in our area as well. Chief Roberts is fantastic. He's always at all of our activities. Couldn't say enough nice things about our two deputy chiefs, Parks and Danicus. Officer Danicus is just a joy to work with every time you see him. Also, our fire department comes out and they help support our festival when we have it. And I'll always have a wonderful, close spot in my heart for Anthony Grimaldi, because he was a help when our daughter died. He helped our family so much when she passed away. But if you've got Saturday from 9 to 3 and you want to come hunt Easter eggs, or you want to come shop local and support local businesses, please come on out to Rex Village and see us. We've got Doggone Dogs will be serving you some lunch if you want some. So we'd just love to have y'all come support our community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Jerry Bedingfield.
Jerry Bedingfield from Rex, Georgia. I was told not to fuss and argue and be so loud. I can't promise that. But I will say this. I met with the CEO and during the road on the show and got to talk to several people about things. And that's one of the first ones I'd been to, and I really enjoyed it. But it brings back that I talked to him about sidewalks on Evans Drive, and he said they hadn't been on the radar, wasn't going to be on the radar, didn't know when it would happen. Now, I've been coming down here over 20 years, and over 12 years, when they built 675 and moved the road over, we were promised sidewalks. We're going to get y'all some sidewalks. We're going to have a brand new 675 through here. Then they built, the park was built. We're going to get sidewalks up down Evans Drive. Then they built Adamson and all the other schools in there, and then Rex Mill Middle School. We're going to get some sidewalks in here. Now, people walk backwards and forth to the grocery stores, to the park. We're talking about walk trails, and we can't get sidewalks on Evans Drive, and we can't get them from 42 Highway to the schools. We can't get them to the county line. But Evans Drive, when it rains, you got to ride the yellow line right down the middle. It makes it one lane traffic, and I've been down here talking about it. We need some kind of input that we need our sidewalks, not later on. We're building all kind of stuff in Ellenwood, and we ain't got sidewalks on Evans Drive. Now, I pay taxes, and we were promised these, and if we don't come straight to the board here, we don't get heard. Nobody calls us, nobody talks to us, turns their head. And you'd act like I'm lying about we were promised sidewalks, but I went to meetings at the Rex Park and different places when we had all these hearings and wrote stuff. It was in the newspapers and everything, but nobody knows it. It never existed. How do we get on other than getting a lot of people to sign and protest and come down here? Because I know we can do that. I mean, it's not like it's rocket science. And we're building brand new schools, which we need. And we're going to build fancy stuff, so $19 million worth of stuff over in Ellenwood, and we can't get one little strip. These kids and people walk and jog from the park to the schools to the store, nowheres. And if it's raining, they got nowhere to walk or walk through the grass. And we just, really would like for somebody, if not to the left, to the right, and then the middle, talk to the CEO and see, what can we plan in the near future to get that done. It's shameful. And I know it's not really y'all's fault.
Your time
and
is
the more
up, sir.
people don't come up and tell you about it, you'll never know about it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank y'all for listening to me, okay? And when I do come up here and get loud, it's because it's from the heart. It's not from,
We understand, sir.
you know what I'm saying? And
Thank
we
you, sir.
appreciate y'all listening. You
Thank
too,
you.
Miss Gregory. Thank y'all.
Ms. Timothy Vondale Jefferson.
10 minutes on this stuff.
Good evening, Timothy Vondale Jefferson, unelected citizen of District 3. I am kind of perplexed and bewildered about our lack of movement in our community. We as citizens, we elect you guys to move forward with some action. And in the last 8 years that I have done my due diligence in the multifaceted phases of this community, I have not seen anything that has moved forward. We're about to embark upon our 2020 census. We have not changed our numbers. Our median income level is still the same. We still haven't done anything with workforce development. We haven't done anything with economic development. We haven't done anything with economic growth. But for some reason, certain messengers don't have a tendency to have the right support, or the messenger have the inability to kiss the right ring. But at the end of the day, I'm very, very concerned about beautification. We have, Chairman, you introduced a proposal last year about a beautification director with an assistant. I'm very, very concerned about the 4 years of MULTIPURPOSE, and I wish MULTIPURPOSE had gone before me so I could reiterate some things that I think they're about to bring to the table. 4 years of MULTIPURPOSE, the citizens voted upon MULTIPURPOSE of 1 cent sales tax, 0.5% going to the county. And as of this date, I think we have collected about $80 million plus. So with that said, the citizens have voted for MULTIPURPOSE. We don't have any bus shelters. The citizens do not see any proactive activity. We understand the mass trail, we understand the rapid bus system, we understand all of those things. But I think that is 2028. In order to send the citizens the right message on the splosh and on this MULTIPURPOSE vote, that we got to show them some results. Our citizens are still dealing with trash bags tied to the bus stops. The bus stops are too close to certain intersections, and our kids are being stuck in the rain because there's no bus shelters. And I think that we as a team, you guys as a team, need to have a strategic plan and moving forward. As a resident of District 3, I'm focusing on beautification, and hopefully we can get some of those bus shelters that the citizens overwhelmingly, 72%, voted for. So I hope that as y'all deliberate behind closed doors, that you would some kind of way, bring the spirit of excellence that we voted for as we move forward. Thank you for your time. Have a
Thank
good
you.
day.
Mr. Chair, I just want to say, when we first came in, and 2 years ago, there were still bags tied. There's some issues we got to work through with MARTA, but I saw trash cans when I drove down the road. So I want to say thank you to the board for that.
We have minuscule trash cans that screw to the post, which I think is
She
substandard.
made a comment.
And I think that we can do better as a community.
Point
Those trash cans are substandard, and it was a quick fix, but I do appreciate the attempt.
Point is taken,
Thank you.
sir. Thank you. Mr. Alvin Farmer.
Pass this to the chairman, please. Stay here, I got it. This book I bought, I read it twice. I recommend every employee at Clayton County read this. I'm gonna donate this to y'all, that y'all are on the board, read it first and read it twice. That's what I did. And then pass it on to every head, and then it goes down. You can also buy this book at I've got it at Walmart. You can pass this to the chairman. You can keep this, by the way. This is a donation from me.
Thank you. I'll take it.
First off, the good news. I would like to speak to Mrs. Howard's supervisor. Even though we have a difference of opinion, she's a very strong woman, and when I came to her with some issues, she took care of them. I will get you a name of the lady at the Lovejoy Library. I had some issues with one of her people, and she kind of told me she would correct the problem, and I'm waiting to see that. On the negative note, you have a lack of communications in this company. That paper I gave you with my name on it, sir, all of those letters besides splash, I do not know what they mean. I've been asking you that before, and I haven't got that. I got disrespected at the Lovejoy Library. They had a piece of paper that the dates of this event was not there. And the gentleman went off on me, wouldn't let me finish saying what I had to say. I had this issue tonight with one of your chairman there. Our commissioners there. I didn't even finish saying what I got to say. Let me finish what I got to say. You can deal disagree. One of the people employed by y'all lied to me directly, and I'll talk to you offline about that. I don't want an apology, I'm sorry, or whatever. I want a fix to the problem, okay? Tell me what you're gonna do to solve the problem. Let's see. And then now that I ran into the fact that I'm talking to a supervisor doesn't work, I want to talk to a supervisor. I want to go above that person. I'm not gonna do that anymore. And then you need to hold your person accountable. Let's see here. I was gone and then looked at it on the thing. Y'all approved a whole lot of buildings and places for people to open. Not once did I hear anything. I heard cleanup, but not once did I hear anything about recycling. So any new business coming, that you need to add recycling into this thing that you talk about. Just for information purposes, Congressman David Scott is going to have a job fair on the 12th of April at the Georgia International Convention Center. Oh, by the way, I heard Dr. Beasley's
Your time is up, sir. Your time is up.
Okay.
And yes, we are looking at recycling programs, so yes.
I need some feedback on this because I ain't got no feedback on it. And the second thing is we vote for y'all.
Your time is up,
we should vote
sir.
for our school superintendent.
Well, that's a state issue.
Say what?
That's a state issue.
Well, then we need to go to the state then. Wherever we need
We
to
got
go,
a local delegation that you can speak with, and they can
give me some names, addresses, or whatever. And I'll
see
take care.
see me later or call me, and I'll be only too
I'll
happy
see you
to.
later on. I want to be.
Okay.
I want to get it done tonight.
Mickey Garber.
No, I didn't.
Mickey Garber, unincorporated Rex, Georgia. There is only one thing worse than blindness. It's having sight with no vision. Why do we keep, the topic of my discussion tonight is zoning. Why do we keep zoning ourselves into poverty? We should make ourselves into the center of our universe, where our schools are top rate, our streets are clean, and where all decent people can live in cleanliness and safety. Let me say, in zoning, get rid totally of RS 110 altogether. You're only creating another pocket of poverty and disillusionment. And the next up in housing, I would suggest you look at getting rid of that too. We need to make ourselves into the center of our universe. What will this do if you get rid of those zonings? It will drive up demand back into the poor neighborhoods. And it will drive up demand and improve those poor neighborhoods. Turn Clayton County into the Manhattan of Atlanta. Turn Clayton County into the Paris of America. Turn Clayton County into the Silicon Valley of the world. Thank you. Are there any questions? Seeing there are none, I'll let this group move on to better business.
Thank you, sir. Tom Podolek.
Hello, my name is Tom Podolek. I live at 13866 Woolsey Road, corner of Wildwood and Woolsey Road in unincorporated Clayton County. I'm here to ask how my agriculture land got rezoned to RS 110 without any notice to me at all. First of all, the Clayton County tax base, it says my house was built in 1945. The only thing that happened in 1945 to my house, we moved the outhouse into the house and put a toilet inside the house in 1945. Ed Fortson's great-grandfather built my house right after the Civil War. The original deed came from Clayton County, came from Henry County between 1865 and 1867, before Clayton County was even established as a county. I discussed the farm a lot of times with Ed Fortson before he passed away about his old home place. He used to come by and visit to see what I was doing to his old home place to fix it up. He informed me the original farm was 1,000 acres. Across the street from my farm was his family cemetery. There's tombstones in there from his family buried from 1880 up to the Vietnam era, and recently somebody was buried there a year ago. Now, there's also a book called The Fortson Family History, and there's 6 or 7 pages in that book he showed me with pictures of my house and letters that were written to the people who lived in there in the 1890s, back to their relatives to Virginia about how they're doing and living in Georgia. Now, I bought this farm in 1976. I've been farming it for 43 years. It's been an agriculture covenant every 10 years for all those years. It's been revised every year, and it's still in the covenant until 2023. Now, somehow, 10 days before Christmas in 2018, the majority of the commissioners decided to rezone my farm to RS 110. I was never notified. I can't find any documentation what commissioner brought this up to put it on the agenda. I want to know who came to work that day and said, let's rezone Podolek's farm to RS 110. Well, don't tell him. He'll find out about 2020, 2021. He gets his new taxes, says he's rezoned. He's rezoned now as residential. Now, I hope you're all proud of yourself how you pushed this spot zoning through if the information I have is right. Because what am I going to do now? You know what I feel like? I feel like somebody broke into my house and robbed all my personal belongings. Because this went around me, my property rezoned, and I know nothing about it. I only found out about 2 days ago when I was investigating the rezoning that was supposed to come up last night on the corner of Fortson Road and Wildwood Road, and found out my property was rezoned RS 110. Now, this is a historical land site. Like I said, it was built in 1865, my house. I've been farming it for 43 years, and it's been in Covington all the time. So what do I do now? Do I sell my animals? Because of course you're not going to let me have all my animals, and I rely on my income if I'm rezoned residential. What do I do with all my farm animals? I was going to leave my farm to my grandchildren. They're getting older now. They're going to need a house because their parents were raised in that house. They come help me work on a farm all the time.
Your
So,
time
Mr.
is
Chairman,
up, sir.
I need your help. How do I get this rezoned
We're
back
going
to
to,
agriculture?
Commissioner is going to take, the Commissioner and I will take another look and see what's going on with it.
Okay,
Thank you, sir.
appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Dr. Clarence Burnham.
Good evening. Thank you for this moment. I just want to share with Clayton County public that we do have a Veterans Treatment Court functioning now under Judge Mack. And I'm the coordinator for the veterans. I see that each veteran gets a mentee. And also the coordinator that works with Judge Mack is Mrs. Dixon, Lakeisha Dixon. I just wanted to come forward and let the public know that there is a Veterans Court in Clayton County, and if you know of anyone that's having any kind of problems, regardless of where he lives, if he lives in Clayton County and he gets in trouble or she gets in trouble in another county that has Veterans Court, they will contact us, depending on the severity of the incident. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, looks like maybe Steve Shiflett. Is that you, sir?
Sir, I actually signed up. My wife would like to speak, but she has macular degeneration, and I was going to do some reading for her. So I asked for my wife to come up, and basically she's going to speak, but I was just going to read some stuff for her since she has the macular degeneration.
Yes, bring her up.
Okay.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for hearing us. I have some speaking points regarding the Panhandle rezoning situation that has taken place. In my research and documentation, this rezoning of the RS1 of agricultural to the RS110 was initiated by the commissioners. Therefore, we have an issue about the notification and the transparency of it. However, I've been looking through the application that was filed by the developer, who apparently had been dealing with the commissioners, because all throughout this application they are referring to the land use amendment and the future land use. So I will let my husband read some excerpts that I have noted, because I mean it almost appears like they are bullying the board that they want to rezone 192 acres, and basically, rather than filing as an applicant of their own, they chose to go to the commissioners and request that you file an amendment to the land use and zoning area. But when I look into these areas, I'd like my husband to read some pertinent information as quickly as you can, because it's, well, let's go to the conclusion and see. Read the conclusion there.
Basically what it states is, for the foregoing reasons, the applicant respectively requests that the rezoning and land use amendment applications at issue be approved. The applicant also invites and welcomes any comments from staff and other officials of Clayton County, so as such recommendations or input might be incorporated as conditions of the approval of this application.
However, residents were not a part of this, because obviously somebody knows a loophole here. Therefore, it was presented to the commission to initiate the amendment. And I live in the very southern portion of the Panhandle, and we depend on these notices. All right, and this initial notice was finalized December the 18th, around Christmas, which I don't know that many people that are digging into politics at Christmas time. Okay, the only reason we found out about this to start with is somebody in the zoning department posted these signs. All right, but when I go back to look at this application that they filed, the rezoning amendment was finalized December 18th. However, their application was filed January 30th. And
Your time is up, ma'am. I'm sorry.
Course. Okay. Well, I appreciate your time, and I have requested to discuss things, and I do appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Miss Felicia, I do appreciate you supporting us in our, I've discovered a lot more information, so I do appreciate your support.
Donna Mullins. Madam Clerk, how are we on time?
This should be the last one.
Good evening. I'm Donna Mullins in unincorporated Ellenwood, Clayton County. Looks like zoning's the theme tonight. Thank you, Commissioners, for allowing me to come before you as a concerned citizen. The county did a great injustice and atrocity to the citizens of Ellenwood in 2008 when you willfully and purposely zoned residential properties heavy industrial. I was one of those victims. Sona, you and I worked together for almost 2 years to get my house rightfully zoned back, and I thank you that we finally did. We worked together another year to get the Williamson Road subdivision rightfully zoned back, and I thank you for that too. So I had no reason, and my fellow citizens had no reason not to trust you when over and over and over you told us, you don't have to worry, something's gonna slip in. I'm equally committed to preserving your area. We're gonna get something done and not all this piecemeal. We trusted you when you told us that I know that 8,000 square foot building was a big disappointment. Unfortunately, it's attracting other industries that neither of us want. Recognizing this, we want to put together a plan and not piecemeal, a long-term professional solution. And then in October 18, you again denied another warehouse for us. Thank you. So when March the 19th rolled around, I'm not sure what happened. We trusted you for 3 years. And then on March the 19th, something changed. Mr. Davis, Ms. Warner, I want to thank you for hearing the cries of the citizens of Ellenwood and for trying to protect us. I appreciate it. Ms. Hambrick, Mr. Turner, Ms. Gregory, shame on you. On March the 19th, 2019, the three of you intentionally and deliberately voted to allow 70,000-pound machines to go 45 miles an hour for a quarter mile past residential properties to get to a warehouse. Ms. Gregory, on that day, your promises became a lie. I realize that politicians think it's okay to say one thing and do another, but that does not make it right. And while we may not have a fancy attorney to come speak on our behalf, we have constitutional rights too. So now that the county has neglected your duty to protect us, I will do everything that I possibly can to protect my community from your grossly negligent decisions. Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, that concludes public comment. If your name was not read, you will be the first ones out at the next meeting that we have in 2 weeks.
Is Marta here?
Yeah, at this time, we're going to have a presentation from Marta. It'll be our quarterly briefing. Presentation, I'm assuming, will be done by Mr. Jeff Parker. And as they are preparing to come, I would like to recognize the chairperson of Marta is Frida Hardage. Hey, give her a round of applause, please. We also have with us the mayor of Morrow, Jeff Tatar. Appreciate you, Mayor, being here. Yes, sir. Mr. Parker.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. I'm going to go through my presentation. Nope. I have the same problem at home with the clicker, so I apologize. So, agenda, we're going to talk about the projects in Clayton County are capital projects, specifically talking about the maintenance facility, giving you an update on where we stand with that, as well as the 2 projects, and point out another board member is here, Roberta Abdul Salam. So thanks for joining us. Good to see you.
And I saw Jerry Griffin here as well.
And Jerry Griffin. And so I want to thank my board members for coming to support me. And we will jump right into our capital project. So as you know, we have committed to do quite a bit since Clayton County joined the MARTA district. We've expanded our bus service. 2 of the bus routes, the 196 and the 191, have some of the highest ridership in the system. We are continuing to evaluate some park and ride lots and have planned on a recommendation this fall around where we can build and provide some park and ride lots that will connect into the system. We are continuing to work on our bus stop amenity program, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, as well as the high-capacity transit system and our multi-purpose maintenance facility. So we have we've done a lot of work on defining what the needs are, making sure that what we build meets the needs of both Clayton County as well as the larger system. We've identified some key elements that we want to make sure, as well as including the bus storage and having a maintenance facility and the opportunity for the drivers to report to work and pull the buses out. We also want to have mobility service there so we can reduce deadhead mileage, become more efficient, integrate a police precinct into that, as well as some training space, and allow us to have some future room for expansion as the system grows. Update on the site selection, and we, I believe staff has met with some of you, if not all, about potential sites. These are on the map here. Next slide sort of gives a high-level overview of 3 of the sites, and I'll show you the next 3 after this. We are evaluating right now to determine which are the best sites for our use. And here we have a description of all of the sites, and we can provide you more information if you have any more questions about a specific site. In terms of the path forward, we've continued our stakeholder engagement. We want to finalize the due diligence around the site selection, complete our environmental review, minimize the impacts of any sort of improvements that are done at the selected site. We will then do our design work, real estate acquisition, and final construction. So we see it's about 4 to 6 years before opening the facility, and we will continue to work with stakeholders and make sure everyone is updated along the way. In terms of transit expansion, clearly we are working towards delivering on the vision of transit here in the county, looking over the next 30 years of how we can improve transit. We will continue to work with the jurisdiction and stakeholders. We've held some charrettes last fall since the last time I was here. One of the things that we'll be moving towards next is starting to look at how economic development efforts can be impacted by the investment in transit in the corridors that we've moved forward with our locally preferred alternatives, both for the commuter rail as well as the bus rapid transit line. And we'll have some initial recommendations this fall about that. So on the high capacity transit system update, we talking, the 2 projects that we're advancing, as you know, we have approved, the MARTA board approved this past fall, the commuter rail corridor along the Norfolk Southern corridor, as well as the bus rapid transit line that will turn the busiest routes in our system, and particularly here in Clayton County, into a much more efficient and effective transit solution for our customers who will be using these bus corridors in the future. And it's 196 and 191, making sure that we have improvements to jobs and educational facilities, and obviously lower impact capital costs, but really trying to improve the performance of these two important bus corridors, the 196 and the 191. So in terms of an update on the bus rapid transit system, we're really trying to work internally to develop some clear standards of what bus rapid transit is, and we will be delivering that to stakeholders, including the county commission, this spring and into the fall, so that people can really appreciate and understand what does bus rapid transit mean. It's being done in coordination with both the ATL organization, who is looking to advance standards around bus rapid transit, but also with other jurisdictions like the City of Atlanta, who are proposing to deliver in their expansion plans bus rapid transit system. We see this as a project with a 4 to 6 year outcome in terms of implementing this project, and we will continue our public outreach throughout this process. On the commuter rail side, obviously we know that this is a much more complex project. We're finalizing our purpose and need, which is basically the statement in terms of what the environmental process will be evaluated against, and we will begin our environmental process to make sure that we are considering all the potential impacts to the community along the way in terms of when we build this system. Ongoing public outreach with our Citizens Advisory Committee, as well as our stakeholders and our Technical Advisory Committee, and that's ongoing. I want to point out some really, the most significant considerations that we will have to take into consideration as we're advancing this corridor. Right-of-way constraints. We've identified, I think, 300 parcels in Clayton County that would be affected by a building and constructing a commuter rail corridor, including the stations. In Fulton County, where you could either say it originates or ends, depending on the perspective, there are about 100 properties that would be affected by this. So we will have to coordinate this with jurisdictions here in Clayton County. We'll have to work with Clayton County in the unincorporated areas that this corridor would traverse, and then the cities along the corridor. So there'll be significant work that needs to be done. A fair amount of permitting, coordination with GDOT, as well as the jurisdictions along the way. Key to this project is being able to obtain federal funding for that, and that will be something that will come out of the environmental process that we're headed into next. And then just significant design considerations and making sure that we can design a system that both works for the citizens but also works for the major stakeholder, Norfolk Southern, who's the owner of the property that we intend to build this corridor on. So as we advance this, I really want to point out that these are really 4 of the risk items that we will be dealing with as we advance this project. Our pathway going forward, finalizing the analysis of the project alignment and how the environmental impact process affects that. We will need to continue to study and look at transportation impacts, cultural resources, air, noise, vibration, and these are all elements of our environmental process. Then once that is completed, we will advance the conceptual design of the project, and that's what will really get us to a point where we can better define the project limits, where what parcels specifically are impacted, that better conceptual elements that citizens and elected officials can get a better sense of what we intend to build. Clearly throughout the process, the key to this will be the Norfolk Southern coordination, as well as being successful in the federal grant process, getting the FTA fundings to help pay for the project. I'm going to move on to a little talk about where we are with service, bring you up to date on things that are going around the system. We have initiated a significant effort around our bus operations. We're short currently about 200 bus operators. It's really a sign of the economy, just the competing for trying to hire employees who have CDL licenses. So we're doing several things. We've initiated a task force internally to look at recruitment, retention, how we employ our staff. We have some information here. I won't get into it. The details of a labor agreement that we've reached with the union that helps to improve the wages and the benefits of our employees, so it becomes a more attractive job for people to join MARTA as well as stay at MARTA. And then we've identified a series of recruitment efforts. We just did something this past weekend, and we have a variety of events, including the Congressman Scott job fair that was mentioned a few minutes earlier. So we will continue to work hard to bring up our staffing of bus operators, because that is really having the largest impact on our ability to deliver quality service right now, particularly on the bus side. Folks during the public comment mentioned shelters and amenities. It's a important piece of the services that we provide, and also important commitment that I've made to the jurisdictions and that MARTA has made. We are advancing several shelters that will be happening later this year that will be installed. We've also, as we presented before, have reached an agreement with a vendor to install advertising benches, and right now we are working with the local jurisdictions to have agreements with the jurisdictions in order for the company to begin the installation of the benches. So we're working to execute those agreements so that we can begin to install the benches. And then above that, we are advancing a system-wide effort, and it will include here in Clayton County several new shelters. We have a plan to install system-wide 1,000 shelters over 5 years, and we will be beginning that process of actually installing those this fall. So this number of 5 shelters will happen before that, and then we'll be in a regular cadence of installing a substantial number of shelters here in Clayton County as well as across the system. And with that, I will open it up to questions. So thank you for your time.
Are there any questions for Mr. Parker?
Actually, I do have one.
Commissioner.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on what you mean by the coordination of the Norfolk Southern?
Yeah. So, you know, clearly, the first thing that has happened when we initiated this program was we sat down conceptually and talked to Norfolk Southern, and they identified sort of the constraints that they would want us to implement in order to safely build the system on their property. So they have been very clear. They want to have safe separation between the tracks that we would build for the commuter rail use, as well as, you know, away from the freight tracks that they currently operate through the county. So this will be an ongoing coordination of finally trying to reach an agreement in terms of what we would pay for that easement on their property in order for us to install the tracks, how we would maintain the system going in the future once it becomes operational, defining force accounts agreements where they will you know, dedicate their staff to make sure that their operation remains safe, and there may be some maintenance activities that would be better be performed by their staff, and we would have agreements on how that would work out. So there are just a whole litany of agreements that we'll have to put in place in order to build this system.
Any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have a question. A couple of them real quick. The shelters, you know, we spoke last time about the shelters, but can you tell us how many have been installed since the last report when you came to visit us?
Yeah, we have not installed any shelters since I was here it was election day, I believe was when I was here. And the 5 or 6 that I identified right here will be the next shelters that we install here in the county.
The 5 or 6, how soon? Because I've been watching
5.
the numbers, and the numbers started out a little bit higher about 2 to 3 presentations ago. So, and that's why I asked how many. In all fairness, I will say this. We do have the trash cans up, and our folks, refuse control, which they feel they get beat up a lot, do a good job
of making sure that they stay emptied. And that's something that Clayton County has been doing. And those trash cans do look wonderful that we've initiated. However, I think that it would be nice if we get to a point to where the next time we come, we can say that more than 5 have been put up. Because it almost feels like every presentation, going, working, ongoing. So I was really pleased to finally see a few dates on here.
Yeah.
But I know that on behalf of our board, I'm just one, but we do like to see some dates and some dates of completion for some of these items. And then the other thing I do want to bring up, if we had somebody come and meet with us, several of us, and I have emails that nobody's responded back to them about the benches. And so I'm going to be having some further discussions about that process, how it took place, who actually responded. Because this gentleman came from out of town and forwarded the emails, and I see the gap in the communication. So it says ongoing, but I don't see, again, progress to completion.
Okay.
The other thing I want to bring up, and I didn't say this to you, Chairman, I almost call you Pastor, Chairman, was I drove down 1941 the other day, and I saw our officers dealing with the issue on a bus. And before Mr. Limmer left, he and I had a conversation in the last meeting about some issues that I got some complaints about the fact that we didn't have a lot of MARTA officers out there, that we were supposed to have somewhere around a tune of 12 to 19, I don't know exactly. But at that time, we didn't even have like but 4 officers on the road. And at that date, I requested that we have I love you, your chief is amazing, but I was hoping she would come and start working with our chief of police, because I personally saw our officers within this jurisdiction dealing with a MARTA situation, and we shouldn't be doing that because we're funding MARTA, so we don't need our officers pulled from other issues. And it was like 2 to 3 officers and not 1 MARTA officer there. And I circled back around, there still was not a MARTA officer.
Okay.
So I want to see some reports back to how many officers were hired. We talk about 3 something for the county when we only have 4 to 5 MARTA officers. That's concerning.
Okay, we'll get, we will get you some information about the officers in advance of the next meeting. We'll get that, we'll work on that. And let me talk about the shelters. Everything that you said is an absolutely fair criticism. You know, I don't want to suggest that we are not advancing this as quickly as I know most importantly our riders would like, elected officials would like, and staff at MARTA. You know, we have turned the corner. So let me talk about what we're doing. The 5 shelters that we've identified here, internally we're calling them the gap shelters. We put together a plan to install through a contractor about 20 shelters throughout the system. 5 of them are here in Clayton County to make sure that we get some progress this spring and early this summer. The next thing that we will have in place, and this is the most important thing, is that we will have both the contracts to do the installation and the contracts to procure the shelters for the larger 5-year 1,000 shelter installation that we're going to do. And then once this summer rolls around and all that's in place, we will have a real significant effort around the system, including here in Clayton County. Thank you. So Frank Rucker, I was just going to turn around and make sure he was here. He's out here. Here's Frank.
To your left.
So Frank is joined MARTA about 5 weeks ago. He's overseeing planning and capital delivery, and this has been a serious focus of his, something that he and I have spent a lot of time together in making sure that going forward, MARTA gets this right in terms of installing shelters. So while I don't stand here in front of you today providing the commitment and showing you the numbers and the results of installing shelters, we're almost there, and we are just ready to roll forward over a 5-year period. So
I'm gonna hold on to almost this time.
So
Any other questions? No, sir. Any other questions from board members?
No, I just think we need to have the charrettes have been great to get us where we need to be in terms of economic development and zoning, but we got a long way to go in terms of making sure that we get what we are supposed to get in this system in terms of shelters, police officers, and so forth. That's all, Chairman.
And let me just add this, MARTA has held several open meetings throughout the county, which we post on the website. So for the citizens' benefit, please pay attention to the website, any postings, e-blasts, or anything else. Go to these meetings, voice your concerns, your opinions, you know, tell them what they're doing wrong and what they're doing right. But they are making themselves available for citizen input. So again, I encourage you to take them up on that and show up for some of these meetings. We just had one on Saturday, this past Saturday, as we also celebrated the fourth year of MARTA being in Clayton County. So, any other questions? Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Parker. We look forward to the next quarterly update.
The board will now consider the consent agenda.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Is this where we have?
Second.
No, that's one.
She's gonna fix it.
Okay. All right, there's a motion, and hold on a second. Let everybody walk out. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions?
Not a question, but a comment regarding the dates. Just,
Mr. Chairman, that date should be June 30th, 2020.
I can't hear you.
That date should be June 30th, 2020. The end date.
June 30th.
right,
20.
expires.
It says 7/1/19
It has
through
20.
6/30/19. I checked with the
So who
the
made the
department.
motion?
It should be 6/30/20.
Amend your motion to change that
include,
date.
to change the date to what now? To,
June 30th, 2020.
so we
As the
amend the
end
motion
date.
to change it from July
Um,
8th to July.
July 1, 2019 through June 30th, 2020.
2020.
From July 2019 to expire on June 2020. Or
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
The next item is item number 17.
Good evening, Chairman of the Board. I have a request from Parks and Recreation to consider a MOU between NVS Building Communities Program and Clayton County Parks and Recreation to utilize Independence Park from April through November 2019 for their football program.
What's the NVS?
What's the NVS stand for? Nicole Victor.
Nicole, what is it?
What's the last one?
Nicole and Victor Smith.
Smith. Ms.
Good
Hodges.
evening, Commissioners. NVS, it's not, it's just an initials, NVS Building Communities Program. It's the name of their program.
Nicole
their-
Victor Smith.
Nicole.
That's
Smith.
juvenile. Is that juvenile justice?
No,
Who's
no, no,
that?
no. It's a private program where we have a Parks and Rec department, and of course, to be a part of their football program, parents have to pay into it. What they want to do is those kids who cannot afford to pay into that program still have the opportunity to play football, but they need somewhere to play. And they're asking to be allowed to use Independence Park to do their program, which they also have agreed, correct me if I'm wrong, to maintain and upkeep the field.
Yes, sir. That's correct. They'll pick up, they'll pay the fees, pick up the trash, line the fields. That pretty much takes sole responsibility. All we have to do is provide the trash cans and pick up the bags.
Have we upgraded that liability insurance?
They are providing the liability insurance per the risk management department.
Okay. Well, check it out, because the last date I saw was 2018.
Sandy, what was that question again?
No, I was just asking about the liability
Yes.
insurance.
What is?
Last date I saw was 2018. It may have been from 2018 through 2020 or something. I don't know. I didn't see the ending date.
I think they one time before. That might be an oversight.
it-
They
it-
asked for the same thing one time before in 2018.
It is. It says through 6/30/2019. So that would be kind of in the middle of their program, but we would get an updated certificate of liability insurance during their program.
Okay.
And they are aware of that.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, so is there a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Any other questions or concerns?
No, I don't have any questions or concerns. I'm just glad to see Independence Park being utilized because that's been my focus since I got here, and all of us. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm glad that they are gonna do their part, but I really feel like we could do better too. So I think that we can go ahead and move forward for today, but let's go ahead and continue to have a conversation and monitor the progress of it, because Parks and Rec, y'all, we got to do better with this area.
Any other questions, statements? Hearing none.
I just want to say, I
Commissioner.
think it'll have more life to it once that rec center comes out there. It's just kind of secluded right now. And once the rec center is built, or the intergenerational center, it will have more life and activity, because it's definitely needed in that area. Kids need something.
I'm glad you said that, and I'm gonna go ahead and put on record. Please put on note to get we got to look at those courts. I drove by there yesterday, and the tennis courts are not appropriate. We got to work on those.
Or at Independence?
Yes, sir. So that's all.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
The next item is the appointment to the Tourism Authority Board to fill the expiring term of Linda Creasy. The term expires on April the 30th, 2023.
Any recommendations?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I'd like to recommend Mr. Bud Smith, who comes with a extensive background in both the arts as well as in tourism as a business owner as well. And he lives in District 3.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
3-2, it passes. All right, next point. Go ahead, Madam Clerk. I wasn't gonna fight you over it. All right, next appointment is to the Board of Appeals to fill the unexpired term of Raymond Baggerly, who resigned. Term expires on December 31st, 2021 for board appointment. Any recommendations?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I'd like to pull in the Panhandle area that has been coming forth and stated some concerns. So I want to make sure that we get them involved, and I recommend Mr. Herschel Treywick.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Last appointment to the Development Authority Board to fill the unexpired term of Don McMillan Jr. Term expires on March 1st, 2021, full board appointment. Are there any recommendations?
Yes, Chair. I recommend Sylvester Ford.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions? Don't have a question, but I just want to add for the record that under our county ordinance, Section 2-56, which governs the removal of any board members, subsection 3, I believe it is, it clearly states that if you miss 2 consecutive meetings, then you may be removed. And as far as I'm concerned, when you miss 2 consecutive meetings, you have effectively abandoned your position with any board that we are in.
That's any board.
Any board.
Mm-hmm.
That ordinance governs all boards. And the reason that is when we appoint you citizens to the boards, we want you to take it serious. We want you to show up and do right by the committee that you're sitting on and by the citizens of Clayton County. And you can't do that if you're not showing up for the meetings. You know, number one, you got to have a quorum, and number two, you need to be knowledgeable about what's going on in your area that you were appointed to. So, with that being said, any other questions?
I do. Do we know, were there special circumstances or anything?
Well, when I looked at the minutes, there was no circumstances notated in the minutes.
Was there any communication with the gentleman about his service as to why, or?
No.
Or that we were going to start implementing.
We've been doing that.
No, we haven't.
Yeah, Because I'm telling you, we removed one or two other folks for the same reason. Any other questions? All right, those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
3-2, it passes. Madam Clerk, that concludes, I think we need executive session
Yes, for litigation. That's
that it?
Yes.
All right, we need executive session for litigation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
I'll second the motion. Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous. Everybody have a good evening. All right, is there a motion to reconvene?
So moved.
I'll second the motion. Those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Mr. Reed.
Chairman, I've got a request to approve an amount not to exceed $2,964 for 27 property owners in the Park Place subdivision for a refund of streetlight fees paid during their ownership of the property. The names and addresses are in this stack of documents, which I'll provide to the clerk, and also request that the chief financial officer be authorized to amend the budget to reflect the appropriate revenue source and expense has been required by the request for refund and release.
Well, before I make the motion, can we add into that any additional?
Yeah, this is just for this group of people that are right here. Any others, I'll bring them back.
Oh, okay.
All right, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Hambrick made the motion. Commissioner Davis seconded the motion. Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It's unanimous.
That's all I have, Chairman. Thank you.
All right. I'd like to make a motion to retain the services of Thompson and Hine, attorneys at law for litigation purposes, under their current existing contract. Is there a second on it?
Second.
Any questions? Those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
3-2, it passes. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Those in favor, aye. Opposed? Good night, people.